Okay, so we've just seen the gameplay trailer for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is the new one, and I'm here with Kulpreet, and we're going to go over what it means, what's in it, what is in it. And there's a lot of new weapons in Assassin's Creed Syndicate by the looks of things. We've got a cane that's got a sword inside it. We've got, there's this knife that he kind of stabs people in the face with. There's the rope launcher. He's got a gun on his little sleeves, which used to be hidden. And now they're just out in the open like, pew. So, I mean, are you looking forward to kind of using all these new weapons?
Yes, definitely. I think with Unity, the introduction of the Phantom Blade was really, really good because it was something new for Assassin's Creed fans to play, and it was really, really handy. I mean, if you were around a corner and there was no way that you could distract this guard and you had to take him out, you could just quickly put on your Phantom Blade and take him out. And I think with Assassin's Creed Syndicate having this brand new gauntlet which does a load of new things is going to be really interesting for players new and old. I mean, you've got the rope launcher, so you can basically just launch onto any building, climb yourself up, and then you can zip line across London, which is pretty cool.
Bits, yeah.
And then you've got the, obviously on Jacob's Gauntlet, you're going to have the hallucinogenic darts. So you can use these in certain ways. Like in the gameplay trailer, we saw him fire it into flames, which then basically spat into the eyes and everywhere of these guards which are surrounding this fighter. So it doesn't have to be slightly like just one-on-one. It can be used on a group, which is going to be very good because in Unity, I use my Berserk darts a lot.
Like next gen is all about sort of reactive environments and like cleverer AI. So it's nice to see that the Assassin's Creed kind of series is getting into that as well. I mean, what do you think of all the sort of the vehicles they've got? They've got carriages, trains, boats, you can fight on top of them.
I think it's really good because it stays true to the whole theme of the Industrial Revolution. I mean, you've got your steam trains, you've got all these vehicles, you've got traffic, and that makes everything 100 times harder when you're trying to kill people. So I think fighting on top of carriages is a really nice touch. I mean, it's something different, something I've not really done in a game before. And I think it'll just add something new to the Assassin's Creed franchise, and it fits the London bill perfectly as well.
Are you big into the history side of it as well?
I am, yes. I mean, it's always been something I've been interested in. I mean, it's kind of your own sort of history, really, living in England and being close to London. So it's really nice to finally see London. It's a time of oppression. The rich are super rich and the poor are super poor, and that's typically like an Assassin's Creed scenario, and I think it would work really, really well, and I'm really interested to see how it all unfolds in Syndicate.
In this one there are two assassins. Yes. Two assassins, a lady and a gentleman. So we've got Jacob and Evie Fry. And so you can swap between the two. Some missions need one, some need the other.
I think it's just really interesting because a lot of the Assassin's Creed game, well, all of the games are based on this idea of DNA. I think it's really interesting that they allow you to play as siblings rather than say like lovers. So I think that's really, really good. And the fact that you can play as her and you can play as him as well. So that makes it interesting because it basically rounds that DNA idea up.
Jacob's very much into like going in, punching everybody, getting what he needs and getting out again.
Whereas Evie is kind of pulling him back, saying, actually, why don't we take it in this way? She's more intelligent, she's more witty, she's closer to the Creed than Jacob is, and that's what they've said. And it'll be really interesting to see whether that conflicts in the game. Like, will they fall out over something? I mean, will we be able to play a mission as Evie and play it a certain way, and then play the same mission as Jacob and then play it a different way?
So there's this gang system, there's boroughs, each owned by a gang, and you have a gang member, and if you kill that gang member, you kind of run that borough.
The gang system seems really, really interesting though.
It does.
It takes me back really to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, because in Brotherhood you had this system where you could burn down the Borgia Towers, and in the gameplay trailer we did see someone burning down the gang flag, and that really was really like, oh my god, AC Brotherhood feels.
Set fire to things.
So it's really good to see that, and obviously he's got his own gang, the Rooks. And that's going to be really, really interesting to see how that all plays out, because they are going to be, Ubisoft said, your eyes and ears. So that's your army to help take down these Templars.
One thing I was wondering is, in Unity, there were these sort of gangs. There was the extremists and the guards, and they were red and blue respectively. And they'd fight you if they saw you, but also they'd fight each other. And I feel like in this game, there's a lot of people wearing red who hang around in gangs and attack you, and I'm like, oh, that's familiar. and they all wear different hats. And I'm wondering,
Oh, really?
is that a thing? Because some of them are wearing flat caps and they look the same.
Yeah.
Some of them are wearing bowler hats and they look the same. Some of them aren't wearing hats at all.
Something there.
Yeah. And is that like a class system?
Maybe.
Maybe.
When this trailer was released, we saw Jacob take off his hat.
Yeah.
And put it into his coat.
Just disappeared.
It just disappeared. And I was racking my brain thinking, how is this possible? Like, what is this hat? And then I went into work today and my friend said, because he does reenactments, he said, oh, it's an opera hat. And I said, what's an opera hat? He goes, it's a hat that collapses. I was like, problem solved.
What does
that
anyone
is it.
ever need that for?
Apparently, it was because when men used to go to the opera,
okay.
they didn't want to take a hat box with them, so they had a pocket in the coat, which is what we saw Jacob doing in the trailer.
Okay.
And they just used to take the hat off, collapse it, and put it in the pocket. Because I do cosplay, I immediately noticed on his hood there was this asymmetric seam which went across. I don't know whether you noticed it. It's very different from the other assassins, so it's good to see his costume as well for the first time. It's very steampunk style, very like going down that road, which is very interesting to see because you've got all the leather
and the gauntlet with all the metal on it.
Yeah, because it goes really well with the whole dark feel of London at that time. I think the combat as well in Syndicate is going to be absolutely amazing from what we've seen.
There's knuckle dusters, aren't there?
And the little comment underneath, when a punch to the face isn't quite enough.
Yeah. It's like, I can't tell if it's like a joke or if they're literally like, because you want to mess him up, innit? So there's, what is it on his thing? He's got, a gun? He's got the hidden blades, obviously, for doing his assassinations. He's got something else as well.
The rope dart.
The rope dart, yes.
Obviously the buildings are going to be a lot higher, probably more difficult to climb. So with this rope dart, rope launcher, you can just fire it at any building and pull yourself up. Everything's changed. Yeah. Everyone's all about speed, about new things, new technology, there's new medicines. It's just in like a time to be alive then, really. And the combat has been reflected in the combat as well, because what we've seen so far of it is very, very fast paced. In the fighting scenes between Jacob and the gangs, you do see how quickly he moves and how harsh and brutal the combat actually is. There's a lot of like fist to face action.
And knife to face.
Yes, knife to face. Yeah. It's a lot. The combat does seem to be a lot quicker.
And there's these underground like boxing fights and things like that. It's very rough. It's very dirty. It's very kind of a guy from the slums who's kind of doing things his way. He's not going to do sword fights. That's a fancy person thing.
It's Victorian Fight Club.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that boxing stuff. So one big question that we haven't really covered yet is the lore. Now, Assassin's Creed lore gets very convoluted and starts talking about aliens and things like that, but what can you tell us about how Syndicate ties into all of that?
There is one thing that I noticed.
Okay.
You see Henry Green, the Indian assassin, and if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, you'll probably know that there is a graphic novel called Brahmin, and that is based in the era of the British Empire in India. So that ties in with the Victorian era in that sense. And so you might think, well, maybe is he part of this whole story going on in Brahmin? We don't know yet, so maybe that's a link there. And in the Assassin's Creed Unity novel, you do see more of the story from Elisa's perspective, because the whole book is written in her perspective. Okay. So it's completely new material that we don't see in Unity, because it's all based on her journals, and she writes about a Templar family in London called the Carrolls. So wondering whether we see a link to them. Good on you, Ubisoft.
Yeah,
tying it all up.
That's a really nice tie. I mean, it's 75 years after Unity's set, I think. So it's advanced enough that it's maybe like 1 or 2 generations afterwards. But that's definitely a short enough time to have those ties. So that'll be interesting. And now I know this. Now I'm going to look out for that.
Look out for it.
Yeah, I normally miss that kind of stuff. So I'm glad you told me. So this is definitely going to be at future game exhibitions this year, because it's out in October. So we're going to be playing at E3 and Gamescom, probably. Are you excited?
It's going to be very, very good to see what else they're going to bring out at these conventions. It's always a time where they drop all the new things, especially at E3. So I personally would like to see more of Evie and her involvement.
I want to see some historical celebrities getting stabbed in the face. That's all I want, okay? Well, thank you very much for joining me and telling me all the secrets that I didn't already know. It was lovely having you. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff in the future. And let me know in the comments if there was anything we missed out. I don't think there was. But just in case. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.